This isn't about Sunday. It's about Beaufort County.
Where'd you get that?
It was in your files, filed with grocery receipts, but it was there. You sold a property in South Carolina. 6 figures. Never reported it. It's income, Loretta. My system flagged it before I even had to go looking for it. You think I wanted my own son knowing I had that while he was scraping just to keep his business open?
What is going on?
Your mother's been sitting on a 6-figure property sale since before we got married. Never declared it. I found it doing her taxes.
3 weeks. That's all it took to turn a family favor into a federal case. 3 weeks earlier, Vanessa didn't know any of this was coming. All she knew was there was a knock at the door, and her mother-in-law was already walking in before she opened it. The doorbell rang twice before Vanessa reached it, and by the time she opened it, Loretta was already past her, 3 bankers' boxes stacked in her arms like she'd rehearsed the entrance. "Just set the table after," Loretta said, sliding the boxes onto the dining room buffet where Vanessa had laid out placemats 20 minutes earlier. "I figured while we're all together." Marcus looked up from the stove, spatula still in hand. "Ma, we're about to eat." "It won't take but a minute." Loretta was already lifting the lid off the top box. Manila folders, rubber-banded receipts, a coffee-ringed W-2 from 3 employers ago. 6 years, Vanessa. The state's been sending letters. "I need somebody who actually knows what they're doing." Vanessa didn't move toward the boxes. "You got 12 clients backed up right now, Loretta. Tax season doesn't slow down because—" "I'm not asking 12 clients. I'm asking family." Loretta said it lightly, like she was reminding Vanessa of the time, not laying down a debt. "You remember I covered the deposit on this house when your father passed, and Marcus didn't have the credit for it alone." Marcus set the spatula down. "Ma." "I'm just saying what's true." Loretta didn't look at her son. Her eyes stayed on Vanessa, waiting. Vanessa had heard this tone before at the wedding, when Loretta paid for the flowers and mentioned it at the reception. At Christmas, when she brought up covering Marcus's insurance gap 2 years running. It was never a request. It was an invoice with no total, due whenever Loretta decided to collect. "I'll look at it," Vanessa said. "That's not a yes to filing it." "Of course." Loretta smiled and closed the box lid, satisfied, and went to go help herself to the pot on the stove like the matter was settled. Marcus caught Vanessa's eye across the kitchen, an apology he didn't say out loud. She let it go. She always let it go. After dinner, after Loretta left with a hug that lasted exactly as long as it needed to look sincere, Vanessa carried the boxes into her office. The sunroom held her desk, her filing cabinets, her laptop still open to a client return she hadn't finished. Her father's ledger sat where it always sat, spine cracked from 20 years of use, his handwriting still visible on the inside cover. Every number tells on somebody. She ran her thumb along the edge of it, then opened the first folder. Loretta's handwriting was worse than she remembered. The numbers didn't add up on the second page already. Vanessa reached for her laptop and started a new file. 3 nights in, Vanessa had the boxes sorted into years. 2019 was missing half its receipts. 2021 had 2 W-2s from jobs Loretta never mentioned. By 11, the sunroom smelled like the coffee she'd stopped drinking an hour ago, and her eyes had started skipping lines. Her phone buzzed against the desk. "Loretta." "How's it coming?" "It's coming." Vanessa didn't look up from the spreadsheet. Missing documentation for a chunk of 2019. Bank statements would help. "I'll have to look for those." A pause, the kind Loretta used when she wanted the next thing to land soft. "You think you'll have it done by when?" The letters said there's interest adding up. "I'll know more once I've got a full picture." "I just don't want this dragging into next month is all." Loretta's voice had the same even patience it always had, no edge to it, which was somehow worse than if she'd pushed. "You know how these things get if they sit." Vanessa said she'd call when she had numbers, and hung up before the conversation could loop back on itself. She went back to 2020, cross-referencing bank deposits against the reported income Loretta had scrawled on a legal pad. Most of it matched close enough, until she got to April, where a deposit slip peeked out from between 2 grocery receipts, stapled to nothing, filed with nothing. Beaufort County Register of Deeds, transfer recorded. She turned it over. No cover letter, no note in Loretta's handwriting explaining what it was. Just a receipt for a property transaction in South Carolina, a county Vanessa had never heard Loretta mention in 6 years of marriage into this family. She checked the income summary again. Nothing about a sale. No line for it, no capital gains entry, nothing that would explain why a deed transfer receipt was sitting in a shoebox of grocery totals. It could be old, could be nothing. A property Loretta's late sister owned, cleaned out and forgotten, filed by accident with a decade of loose paper. Vanessa had seen stranger things in disorganized files. People kept things for no reason at all. She set the receipt in a folder by itself, separate from the rest, and told herself she'd ask about it once she had the bigger picture sorted. Marcus knocked on the doorframe around midnight, still in his work clothes. "You coming to bed?" "Soon." He glanced at the boxes, the spreadsheet glow lighting her face. "She giving you a hard time?" "She's giving me boxes." Vanessa didn't mention the receipt, not yet. Marcus nodded like that was answer enough and left her to it. Sunday dinner was at Loretta's house this time. The whole table set with the good plates she only used when people were watching her use them. Vanessa's aunt-in-law Pam was there, and Marcus's cousin Dana. And by the time the cornbread made it around the table, Loretta had already brought up the filing twice. "The county sent another letter," Loretta said, cutting her chicken without looking up. "Interest is up to almost $4,000 now." "I told you I'm still working through 2019, Vanessa said. "Some of it's missing documentation you still haven't found." $4,000, Vanessa, Loretta set her fork down. "That's not a small thing." "It's not something I caused either." The table went quiet in the specific way rooms go quiet when everyone at it already knows where a conversation is headed, and nobody wants to be the one steering it. Pam suddenly found her water glass interesting. "Nobody said you caused it," Loretta said, "but you've had the boxes 3 weeks. If this had been handled quicker." "I'm not the one who let 6 years go unfiled." Loretta's jaw tightened, just slightly, the first crack Vanessa had seen in her all evening. "I think, given the situation, it's only right you cover the penalty, since it's grown under your watch." Dana's eyes went wide. Marcus set his fork down. "Ma, that's not—" he started, then stopped himself, glancing at Vanessa like he was recalculating how hard to push. "Maybe we table this till after dinner." "Not she's wrong, not that's not fair, just table it." Vanessa didn't argue in the room. She'd learned a long time ago that arguing in front of an audience only gave Loretta more to work with. She finished her plate, thanked Pam for the peach cobbler, and left with Marcus 20 minutes later, the drive home silent except for the radio. At her desk that night, she didn't open the folders again. She opened her firm's portal instead and ran Loretta's full file through the verification protocol. The same cross-check every client return got before it left her hands. No exceptions, no favors. It was the one thing about her process she'd never once bent, not for the biggest client on her books and not for family. The system churned for 11 minutes. When the results populated, one line sat flagged in red at the bottom of the asset summary. An out-of-state property transfer, Beaufort County, South Carolina, sale value 6 figures, no corresponding entry anywhere in 6 years of reported income. Vanessa sat back from the screen. The deposit slip was still in its folder, 3 feet away. Vanessa drove to Loretta's alone the next afternoon, the folder on the passenger seat next to the flagged printout. Loretta answered the door already talking. "If this is about Sunday, I've had time to think and I don't think I was out of line." "This isn't about Sunday," Vanessa held up the deposit slip. "It's about Beaufort County." Loretta's face didn't change right away. That was the thing Vanessa would remember later, how long it took, how practiced the stillness was. "Where'd you get that?" "It was in your files." "Filed with grocery receipts, but it was there." Vanessa stepped past her into the living room, since Loretta hadn't moved to let her in or keep her out. "You sold a property in South Carolina, 6 figures. Never reported it, not once in 6 years of returns." "That was my sister's place. She passed, it sold, that's not." "It's income, Loretta. It doesn't matter whose name was on the deed originally." Vanessa set the printout on the coffee table. My system flagged it before I even had to look for it. It's not going away because we don't talk about it. Loretta sat down slowly, the practiced calm finally slipping. You don't understand what that money was. Then tell me. It was mine to figure out on my own time. Loretta's voice sharpened, but it wasn't anger exactly. Vanessa recognized it now as something closer to panic dressed up as pride. You think I wanted Marcus knowing I had that kind of money sitting while he was scraping to keep his business open? Asking me for help I never gave him. I wasn't ready for that conversation. So you buried it in a shoebox and let me file around it. I didn't ask you to find it. You asked me to file 6 years of returns. I don't get to leave things out because they're inconvenient. Vanessa heard footsteps behind her Marcus, letting himself in with his own key, stopping in the doorway when he caught the tail end of it. What's going on? He said. Loretta didn't answer. Vanessa did. Your mother's been sitting on a 6-figure property sale since before we got married, never declared it. I found it doing her taxes. Marcus looked at his mother, waiting for the denial that didn't come. I wasn't ready to explain it, Loretta said again, quieter now, like repetition might make it sound less like what it was. You don't have to explain it to me, Vanessa said, picking the printout back up. I'm not filing this the way it sits. You'll need somebody else or you'll need to fix it yourself. Either way, I'm done. Vanessa filed the formal withdrawal Monday morning, the non-compliance disclosure attached exactly as her firm's protocol required. No editorializing, no personal note. Just the flagged transaction, and the dates she'd requested documentation that never came. She signed it with her father's fountain pen, the same as she signed everything, and mailed it before lunch. Loretta called twice that afternoon. Vanessa let both go to voicemail. The federal notice went out to Loretta 12 days later. Marcus told her about it standing in their kitchen, phone still in his hand. His mother's voice audible enough through the speaker that Vanessa could hear the edge in it without needing the words. She wants to know if you can still fix it, Marcus said, lowering the phone. Says she'll pay whatever your rate is now. Full rate. I told her where I stood in her living room. I know, he set the phone face down on the counter. I'm not asking you to change your mind. I didn't say anything that day at her house when she came at you the first time at dinner. I should have said something then. You said it eventually. Not soon enough. He rubbed a hand over his jaw. She's been like that as long as I've known her. Keeping score, deciding what people get to know. I didn't think she'd do it to you like this. Vanessa didn't have an answer that would make that easier for him, so she didn't try to build one. She went back to her office instead, where the boxes still sat, unfinished and now permanently someone else's problem. She boxed the deposit slip separately, sealed the folder, and set it on the shelf next to her father's ledger rather than filing it away with closed client work. Not evidence, just a reminder of the shape a compromise would have taken if she'd let it. The next Sunday, family dinner rotated back to Vanessa and Marcus's place. Loretta came, because not coming would have said more than showing up. She didn't mention Beaufort County. Nobody did. She sat 2 seats down from Vanessa, quieter than Vanessa had ever seen her, complimenting the cornbread instead of directing the room. Marcus sat next to Vanessa the whole night, not across from his mother the way he used to when he wanted to referee. Just beside his wife, the way he should have been 3 weeks earlier. After everyone left, Vanessa sat at her desk with the ledger open to a blank page. Her father's handwriting still faded into the inside cover. She didn't write anything in it that night. She just closed it, capped the pen, and turned off the light.